Hello and welcome to your English news broadcast live on ERi-TV. It's exactly 10:30 p.m. on Eritrea's local time from our headquarters at Asmara with your domestic and international news in brief live from the capital Asmara. I'm Zahra Badouri, but first with your major heads up for this broadcast. Calls for reinforced water and soil conservation. Commendable literacy program and a third domestic. Russia and China boost oil export to China in Bloomsburg. And in Germany, strikes at German regional airport, a ground majority of fights. Welcome to your domestic in brief. I'm Abdullah. Mr. Ambassador Abdullah Musa, governor of Ansaba region, called for reinforced water and soil conservation activity. Ambassador Abdullah made the call at a meeting he conducted on 22nd February with area administrators and agricultural experts in Haggas subzone. At the meeting, extensive discussion was conducted focusing on the strengths and challenges encountered in the popular campaign that have been so far carried out, participants of the residents in the popular campaign, as well as role of area administrators and agricultural experts. Mr. Gabra Meskel Tawalde, Director General of the Agriculture and Land in the region, on his part called on agricultural experts and area administrators to play due role in efforts to develop the understanding of the public on the importance of water and soil conservation in boosting agricultural production. Mr. Gabrazgi Damam, Director General of Adult Education and Media at the Ministry of Education, reported that commendable illiteracy program has been called in the past years of independence. Mr. Gabrazgi said that the number of illiteracy that was 80% in pre-independence has currently been reduced to 20%, indicating that in the year 2022, about 38,000 citizens, including 88% females over 15 years of age, have attended literacy programs from 925 centers. Mr. Gabrazgi said that 78% of them have successfully implemented the program. Regarding adult education program, Mr. Gabrazgi said that the number of participants at the adult education program that was below 600 in the year 2026 and 2007 academic year has increased to over 22,000 in the year 2021-2022 academic year. Mr. Gabrazgi went on to say that the vocational training on various fields have been provided to over 3,000 disadvantaged students. With regards to media, Mr. Gabrazgi said that the department is disseminating radio programs focusing on agriculture, health, and social in the Tigray and Tigrinya languages. On your final domestic, vocational training ranging from 2 to 6 months was organized to 279 youth, including 172 females in the central region, indicating that trainees were from the 16 subzones in the region and 8 government institutions. Mr. Meron Kiflet, head of the project at the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students branch in the region, commanded the trainers that provided the training, as well as the contribution of the Union Center office. Speaking at the concluding event of the training conducted on 25th of this February, Colonel Gabrahannis Woldegargis, Director General of Social Services in the region, called on the trainees to apply the training they received in improving their livelihoods. Stay tuned for more on your global reports after this. And on your reports on the international line, overall supplies of the crude and fuel oil in January reportedly surpassed a record set in April 2020. China has further increased purchases of Russian oil in January, Bloomberg reported this week, citing data intelligence firm Kepler. According to the report, Beijing imported an average of 1.66 million barrels of crude and fuel oil from Russia daily in January, which is more than the previous record set in the year 2022, April. Kepler data has showed that China bought the entire monthly load of Russia's ESPO grade oil, as well as Arctic grade and flagship Ural grade oil. China has been competing with India as the biggest buyer of Russian crude after the conflict in Ukraine, and Western sanctions that followed forced Moscow to look for new buyers by offering heavy discounts on its fuel. The EU and the UK banned imports of Russian crude in December, and at the same time, the EU and G7 countries imposed a price cap on seaborne Russian crude. China is ramping up purchases, however, just as the country is gradually reviving its economy following the lift of COVID-19 restrictions last year. According to the International Energy Agency, recovering Chinese consumption will be the main driver in the growth of global oil demand this year, which is expected to rise to 101.9 million barrels per day. The main allure of the Russian oil currently is its relatively low price. Russia's flagship grades are trading much lower than the Brent or similar West African grades. Ural's grade, for instance, averaged $49.48 per barrel in January compared to $82 per barrel for Brent. Russia's overall oil exports in January averaged 8.2 million barrels per day. According to the IEA, an increase on the previous month, as this report. On your final report, the majority of flights at Germany's Düsseldorf and Keuligenbahn regional airport were grounded by the 24-hour strike by the Verdi trade union on Monday, the airport's report. The Düsseldorf airport on Monday said only 89 flights of a planned 330 were taking place, where 29 were diverted to other airports and 7 were rescheduled for the next day. Of Monday's usual 136 daily passenger flights scheduled for Keuligenbahn Airport, only 2 were set to operate as scheduled. It is the latest in a series of strikes and protests that have hit major European economies, including France, Britain, and Spain, as higher food and energy prices knocking income and living standards after the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine. Verdi, however, announced the strike on Friday after it said collective bargaining efforts for public services workers and aviation security workers had failed to come closer to an agreement. The airport, which serves airlines including Lufthansa, Turkish Airlines, Thai IS, and Aegean Airlines, were largely empty because passengers had been informed of the strike in time to change their plans. The union brought air traffic to a standstill earlier this month, with one-day strikes at 7 major airports, including the Frankfurt and Munich hubs, affecting nearly 300,000 passengers. Cities across the western state, however, of Northern Rhine and Westphalia, including Keuligen, Leverkusen, and Bonn, were also affected by public service workers' strikes, and an agreement in the negotiation on behalf of more than 2.5 million employees of the federal government and local authorities is a long way off. Verdi, in his reported, and the German Civil Services Association are demanding a 10.5% more pay for state employees, or at least €500 more each month. Dear viewers, that is all for now with your domestic and international news in brief. Until we are back with some more news, stay with the rest of our programs here on ERi-TV. Until we are back with some more news, these are your major headlines in review. Call for reinforced water and soil conservation. Commendable literacy program and vocational training to youth in the central region. Russia boosts oil export to China in Bloomberg report. Strikes at German regional airport, grounding major flights. Stay tuned for more of your news reports here on ERi-TV. Until then, thanks for watching.